Side missions have been a part of gaming for as long as most can remember, and depending on who you ask, they're either a fun break from the main story or a fast way to feel like an unpaid intern. Some side quests are incredible, well written, and in some cases are even better than the main story. On the other hand, however, you have side missions which can be tedious and extremely long. I mean, we've all been there, gathering herbs or hunting down annoying collectibles, or even delivering something across the entire map for a few bucks and a thank you. This leads us onto today's topic, Red Dead Redemption 2, which is my personal favorite game. As much as I love it, Red Dead 2 definitely has its fair share of side missions that really test your patience. From collecting every cigarette card to discovering all 30 dinosaur bones, players have every right to complain about these missions. But those are nothing in comparison to the true worst side mission in Red Dead Redemption 2. During Chapter 4, in the mission The Gilded Cage, Arthur and the gang get invited to a house party hosted by the mayor of Saint Denis. The main point of this mission is to introduce the gang to some key players in the story and scope out some new ways to make money. The mission also features an interaction where you can save a man from choking, the man in question being Algernon Wasp, a world-renowned hat maker. And if you do end up saving him, you will be able to access his side missions, duchesses, and other animals. Now, on the surface, this may seem like any other side mission in Red Dead 2. However, that would be a little inaccurate. This mission can be broken down into 6 main parts, which can total up to 10 hours of total gameplay. And the rewards you get for completing everything? Well, you're just gonna have to stick around until the end to find out. Without further ado, let's start with part 1. Now the first step is obviously to visit Algernon Wasp. Here we are just outside of his humble abode. Let's go give him a little visit. Hey, what's up, buddy? Hello? Well, he doesn't appear to be in. I guess we'll rob the cat. Anyways, now that we visited him, there's only one thing left to do. That's to burn his store down. Well, that's gonna wrap up the first step. Now let's actually start with the side mission in step number 2. Step 2 was underway, and we needed 15 Lady of the Night orchids. After searching the swamps, I did run into a little problem where one of the orchids wasn't spawning in, but after a quick reload, the flower was back in its regular spot. And that rounded off the 15 Lady of the Night orchids. They were honestly very easy to collect. And on to the next request for step 2, 15 egret plumes. Specifically, we need 5 from each species, which there's little egrets, snowy egrets, and reddish egrets. Another thing to note is that while these missions are active, the birds that you need for that mission actually spawn less, which is why people tend to collect everything before they start these missions. However, I was doing this for a more traditional experience. In order to be as efficient as possible, I was using a strategy where you loop around to 3 specific locations, and after arriving at each location, you simply save your game and reload it, and a bunch of birds spawn in. It luckily spawned in a lot of birds that we needed for future steps, so we were also making progress at those. The locations that we looped to were the marshlands south of Caliga Hall, the marshes northeast of Saint Denis, and the train tracks at Bayal Edge. Finally, after 4 loops around our makeshift track, we collected all the egret plumes and we're ready to visit Algernon. This is also the cutscene where we find out Algernon may not be as sane as we thought he was.
Algernon, I whispered to myself.
But he pays well, and John insists on more work to torture himself so he doesn't have to go back to Beecher's Hope for a little while longer. And leaving the shop, when we open his letter, step 3 is revealed. We need 20 heron plumes, 7 ladies' slippers orchids, and 10 moccasin flower orchids. Wow, these are really annoying to say. Luckily, during my egret hunting, I also found 12 heron plumes, so we were almost there. So, unfortunately guys, the step 3 footage simply does not exist because I accidentally permanently deleted it. I'm not even gonna try to make any excuses. It was an absolute noob move by me, so unfortunately, step 3 doesn't exist. It's not real anymore. But luckily for you guys, it's one step closer to me suffering, because step 4 was not a good one. We needed 3 Acuna star orchids, 7 cigar orchids, and 5 ghost orchids. And on top of all of that, we needed 25 gator eggs. But luckily, the gator nest usually contained multiple eggs, but it was still dangerous, and John definitely took a few deaths. Bro, it was also pretty annoying because the last place I went looking for eggs, which I just needed 2 at that time, I find 3 nests within 10 meters of each other. That put me well above 25. I mean, there was probably like 12 total eggs there. While looking for the orchids, I ran into a strange man located in a little shack in the middle of the swamps. Even though I definitely knew he was inviting me into a trap, I let curiosity get the best of me, and John definitely paid for it through pain and emotional trauma. We did return shortly after to even up the scores though. Finally, after finishing collecting all of the orchids, we returned back to Algernon's, where he offered John a hat that, let's just say, wasn't really his style. And after John begging again for even more tasks, Algernon caves in and hands over another list full of tedious ingredients. And after taking a look at said list, I realized step 5 was going to be a big pain, even bigger pain than all the other steps. I mean, we needed 10 rat tail orchids, not bad, 5 night scented orchids, and 5 spider orchids, which again, weren't bad. However, we needed 30 spoonbill plumes. I mean, I did already have 6 from earlier, but holy crap, 30 is so much. I started step 5 with collecting the orchids, and I somehow accidentally kicked this gator after collecting a rat tail orchid. The rat tail orchids were located really deep in the swamps, which was just not fun, especially when my horse loves beelining it into the trees. The spider orchids were much simpler, even though they were also in the swamps. After those 2, we made the long trek south to near Shady Bell for the night scented orchids. And after a pretty easy time collecting them, we finally moved on to the spoonbill plumes. Luckily for us, the spoonbills also spawned at the same locations that the egrets did, so I just went back to reusing the old track. Like I had mentioned earlier, the game changes the spawns of the birds that you currently need in the mission, lowering them. So now I wasn't getting any spoonbills. This is extra ironic because spoonbills were literally all I was finding when I was hunting for the egrets. It was taking so long that I was getting so bored that I resorted to texting and driving, but I paid the price for it twice, back to back. Like within 10 seconds. Guys, don't text and drive. This is why. Thankfully, after about another hour, we finished collecting all the plumes and could return to Algernon for the final mission. Algernon reveals his love for the Contessa to John. However, he's worried that she'll marry another. So his plan is for John to collect all these ultra rare flowers in order for him to propose to her at the lake in Lombardy. With the list, we exit the shop and start step 6. For step 6, we're gonna need to collect 5 clamshell orchids, 5 dragon's mouth orchids, 5 queen's orchids, and 10 sparrow egg orchids. Again with the names. We started with the clamshell orchids, which were luckily all located near Prinz & Co. and Caliga Hall. Then it was off to Lacay for the queen's orchids. I mean, we had a few close run-ins with some gators, but nothing major happened and we were still rolling. We had to take a long journey north into New Hanover near Butcher's Creek and Beaver Hollow for the sparrow egg orchids. These ones were a bit hard to see honestly, but luckily using Eagle Eye makes this just so much easier. Lastly, we went a bit west from Ansburg for the last orchids, the dragon's mouth orchids. This was again pretty uneventful and we collected the orchids pretty quickly. Finally, we were ready to visit Algernon for the last time. After arriving, we find out the Contessa has married another man. In fact, it was a postman, which really made Algernon hurt. He's so upset that he pulls out his iconic revolver to, you know, but John is luckily able to wrestle it out of his hands and keeps it as a reward. He also gives John a beautiful hat, which totally fits John perfectly. On top of this, we got a total of $750 for completing duchesses and other animals. Do you think it was worth it? And what do you think is the most tedious side mission in gaming? If you guys enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and comment and subscribe if you're new. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye!